Hello everyone. Today on Binky's Gaming Thoughts, I will conclude the Canticle of Silence. So let's find out what happens. The Magisters fall. Well, we knew that much, obviously. The seven fell from the wellspring of creation, no longer creatures of the Maker's light. They are now darkspawn. From the height of heaven they plunged, and Tevinter saw them burn across the sky like falling stars, or meteorites. Where they touched the earth, twisted darkness grew, poisoned by their hate, obviously bringing the taint with them, and the clouds covered them and wept. So they're spreading the taint. If the old gods are Evanurs, they need to be dragons to be freed, and they need to be found from where they are, within the deep roads. So they need darkspawn to follow them, follow the taint, and to find them. They say that the darkspawn brought the taint to the old gods in dragon form and made them archdemons. But what if they were already archdemons? If the taint was created when the whispers started, maybe they were already archdemons. Or even so, if it's not that, I still believe the thing about the orbs, they need to take on the dragon form, they need to be killed, and the orb escapes them, and then they can take on another form, potentially an elven form, and be living Evanurus again. Or human if they really are human and they're not really Evanurus. So the problem with their plan is that they need the darkspawn. They couldn't just do this alone. It's so elaborate, it's so complicated, there's so many things that can go wrong. So they're not really freed yet at this stage, especially with the orb theory. But you know, when an old dragon, when an old god is destroyed, it needs special circumstances to be dead. Otherwise its essence lives on. So it really needs the special circumstance of the Grey Wardens to die. So if this is what can go wrong. If a Grey Warden kills them and they're really dead, well, they're not escaped. Their plan failed. Well, Morgan's son had Orthemiel's essence in him, which Flemeth took, but even when she doesn't take. But I'll get more into that in a future video, actually. But I'm just kind of going on a tangent here, which I believe proves that the old gods are Evanurus. Like a sickness, evil grew within them, the Magisters. Their pride refused all measure of blame. Not they, but their masters had brought them low. They cried out in rage to gods who did not answer. Yeah, I'd be angry at the old gods too. But of course they're not answering. They're in the dragon forms. They're completely ignoring them. Or they can't hear them. And they would have vengeance upon the gods of broken promises. And through them, vengeance on the Maker and his world. Well, if what Corypheus claims is true, then this vengeance is on the old gods and their worlds, and the Maker is not in the picture. The Maker could have just been added here. The Archon scatters the Magisters. So this is another part of the problem that went wrong. If they thought they were going to appear all in the same place and help each other out as dragons, well, they were mistaken. Their plan fails as they're scattered. The Archon followed the path of fire, writ large across the sky of Tevinter, so he followed the trail, and upon the plain where once great Barandur had stood he arrived. Barandur was once a great city of Tevinter, said to have been destroyed by Dumat, the god of silence, because the city's leader at the time had insulted him by dismissing him, or something like that. Legend has it that it disappeared mysteriously around negative 1610 ancient. Girded in lyrium and silverite, bearing in his left hand a staff of gold and emeralds. Veilfire color. Wreathed in lightning, and upon his right, the ring of the ferryman, symbol of Darinius, and the might of the Imperium itself. So I mentioned the ferryman a little sooner. I forgot to mention that the ferryman is the symbol of Tevinter, and it's a hooded ferryman that's drawn on the imperial seal of the Archon. And Darinius was the first Archon and the founder of Tevinter. The seven struck against the Archon with all their twisted magic, but no pestilent hate could turn aside Tevinter's ferryman. Protection spells. Across the plain the Archon saw, where the defilers stood, corruption, blackness all-consuming, threatened to engulf his land and all his people. So the taint is spreading, and when there's a blight, not only is it the darkspawn, but the lands, it kind of kills the lands, blight-tainted lands, as we've seen in Inquisition with the red lyrium. It's tainted with the blight. So the blight will affect not only the people, it will taint the lands. That's why the devastation of the blights, that's why there are dead things, that's why it takes so long for crop and farms to rebuild, for the lands to be restored after a blight. And usually the story said something, I forget where I read this, but the story said something about burning the lands to destroy the blight before anything can be regrown. I forget where I saw this. Maybe somewhere in a codex entry from Origins. I'm not sure. Let me know where it is, or did I just come up with this on my own? With fire and lightning he strove to cleanse the spreading poison from the earth to no avail. So he's using his magic and it's not working. I know I read about the fire thing, but the magic isn't working while it's spreading, and that's why it's so difficult to get rid of the taint. I think it's once the archdemon is destroyed only can the lands be restored. I'm not sure. Magic could not undo what evil had done, hence the darkspawn problem that continues to this day. And decay and corruption. Those old gods really were cunning, weren't they? So the Archon called upon the spirits of the Fade. Spirits of the Fade, or demons? And adding their strength to his own, scattered them to the winds and the corners of the earth. So the spirits of the Fade, it makes me think of what the Augur explains to the Inquisitor in Jaws of Hakon. They call them gods, but they're spirits. And he says they listen to the spirits, they call upon the spirits, and also when you do the mission to fight the Avar, to see how strong you are, the guy explains to you, I forget his name, that they call on to their gods, so the spirits, to give them strength in battle. So this is something similar, that at the time perhaps they were just using the spirits to have strength during battle. And maybe eventually with blood magic, the spirits were used to do things against their nature. Thus they were corrupted. They became demons. And demons, since they can possess, so someone who's calling on a spirit to help them in battle, if they use blood magic and corrupt the spirit becomes a demon. Instead of the spirit just inspiring them and giving it strength for them to be helped in battle, maybe the demon possesses them. And maybe that's how possession happens. So adding their strength to his own, scattered them to the winds and the corners of the earth. So one magister over here, one magister over there. It's like sprinkling magisters everywhere, you know? Magister here, magister there, magister everywhere. And I understand they're dangerous altogether, but isn't spreading them out like that a recipe for disaster? I don't know. And with a heavy heart, return to unassailable Minrathous, the Archon, to prepare his people for the doom to come. Doom upon all the world. And yeah, I really don't know about scattering them. It's now they're not all in the same place. You don't really know where they are. You know, if they're in the deep roads, it involves dwarves and stuff, and like, I know this has nothing to do with dwarves, not their fault, but I just think that because they're hidden and no one knows where they are, people can't go looking for them to destroy them. Kind of like the Grey Wardens sort of wanted to do, which in itself was a noble goal if it wasn't for a lie planted in their minds, like Corypheus, obviously. And that concludes the Canticle of Silence. Lots to think about. Silently. So there'll be more canticles to come. In my next video, actually, I'm going to be analyzing the epilogue scene between Solus and Mythal, my theories about the orb and how that relates to the old gods, and my theory about the old gods being Evanurus, and really diving more into that. I'll also be doing a few little tidbits that I found that you found and mentioned in the comments before getting into another canticle. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And I'm not sure which canticle I'm going to do next. I'll see how it flows. So thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Like and share the video. It helps people find the video and helps the channel grow. Oh, and be sure to follow me on Twitter at BinkyProd. And I'll see you soon. Maseranas.